Okay, right. Welcome to CE3007. So today is 12th of January 2022. We are offering the last CE3007 in SCSE. So I'm Chung Eng Seong, and we have been teaching this course for many years now. So this is the last offering for your cohort. So we hope that everybody will pass. Now, so with me to teach this course, and the course coordinator is Professor Guan Chun Tai. This is his information, and he'll be doing from week 8 to 13, and I'll be doing from week 1 to 7. So this is my email, and if you email us, please indicate that you are a CE3007, and then you can begin your question then. Now, where are all this information that I'm going to show you is you should be picking them up in the folder, and in the folder you would actually have this folder, and you should have lecture slides, tutorials, and lab manual already. Where do you get this from? You get this from the NTU Learn website, and if you just go to this course site, and under the content, you go to my part, and in my part you will see that I divided into lecture slides, the lab, and the tutorials. Okay, so you should pick up all this from here. And in the lecture slides, this is a zip file containing what you're going to see today, some of it anyway. So let's continue. So in today, we are just simply going through all the logistics of this course. Maybe it'll take us about 20, 30 minutes, and then we're done. Then you'll understand why I'm not going to go through the lectures. Now, so the big details are these. Tutorial starts on week 2, but later on you'll realize that so tutorial, you go to tutorial classes next week. There are 5 lab sessions. Labs begin on week 4 for the even weeks, and week 5 for the odd weeks. There'll be 2 quizzes, one for part 1, which is my part, and one for part 2. For part 1, the quiz will be on week 7. It should be on the Friday's lecture slot. So on that week, you must come back to NTU. Then we'll divide you into 40 students, so that there'll be spaces in between students, and you will take the quiz physically in NTU in one of the lecture. So we will give information later on, but you'll know that part 1, there is a quiz. The content of the quiz is all of part 1. So it means that actually in the exams, it'll be question 1 and 2 of the exams. So if you look at the past 3 years exams, then that will be the standard. Okay, so look at the past 6 exam papers of CE3007. That should give you an indication of what we're expecting for the exam, and as well as quiz 1. Now, if you have any questions, please write in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask me. Any questions so far? Quizzes are based on labs or lectures, everything. Labs, lectures, and tutorials. Okay. Now, so nowadays we place continuous assessment quite importantly. So in a continuous assessment for my lab, which is lab 1, 2, 3, because there are 5 labs. So lab 4 and 5 belongs to part 2. Lab 1, 2, 3, in the lab, there is Q&A. So what do I mean? Basically, you go to the lab, and during the lab session, you'll be given one sheet of Q&A, and you have to do Q&A. So what is in it for you is that you are given the lab manual. The lab manual would have a lot of things for you to do. The Q&A are with respect to the lab manual. So if you have done the lab manual, basically you are just going to have a very easy time for the lab Q&A. If you are not doing your lab manual before you come to the lab, then that 2 hours is you typically have not enough time to complete it. Okay, so the lab manuals are given to you. You can do it way before the labs. In the lab, you would have to use your Python code that you have developed for the lab manual to help answer the question. So I will explain that maybe on Friday as well. Okay, now, so the continuous assessment and the quiz for my part are counted towards that exam. So is part two. In part two, you have 2 labs as well as a quiz, and these are also counted. And then final exams typically is 50 to 60% of the total cost. In the final exam is 2 hours, closed book, but you have 1-page cheat sheet. So this 1 page means the double-sided. You can write on the 2 double-sided A4. Okay, so you're allowed 1 A4 double-sided, and you can write, you can type, whatever, doesn't matter. All right. Now, this is the schedule. We know that the schedule has changed from offline, meaning physical, to online only last week. So everything is very fluid. So go and check. We noticed that in week 4 for TE4, TE4 week 4 on the Tuesday is Chinese New Year second day. So it's a public holiday. So during this day, there's no lab. So what will happen to the TE4 guys on Tuesday? You still have to do it, but you will join either TE2 or TE1 and 3 in week 5. Now, I would then give you more information how we're going to distribute TE4 into the various classes. Right, someone asked, is the tutorial offline? So the tutorials, okay, so it says that the tutorials are TR+4, TR+5. Basically, you have to go there physically, the tutorials. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do the tutorials and the lab Q&A during the lecture hours. That means during this hour, as well as the Friday lecture hour. So if I'm going to do tutorials Q&A in these lecture hours as well as Friday, so when are you going to do the lecture, right? So the lectures, later on you realize that I'm going to ask you to watch all the past videos that we have prepared. So you're going to watch the lectures by yourself, and during the lecture hour on Wednesday and Friday, I'm going to answer the tutorial questions if you have any, and the lab questions if you have any. So maybe you will be asking me now, what would you be doing in the tutorial hour then? So during the tutorial hour, I'm going to assign it to my TA, the teaching assistant, who are PhD students. They would go to these 4 slots. There are 2 of them, and they would be able to help you answer the lab question. So they can guide you along during that. Does that answer your question, WJ? All right. So then you'll be wondering to yourself, what are you going to do on the lab, right? So if the TAs are there for the tutorials, what are the labs? During the lab session itself, you will go to the lab with your lab manual and your prepared codes for the lab. And on that beginning of the lab session, which is 2 hours long, we are just going to hand you a sheet of paper with questions. And you are there to answer the lab questions, the new lab questions. And for each of these TE1, 2, 3, 4, they will be different slightly. Okay? And they'll be actually extensions of nothing but your lab manual. And you will answer these questions. And then at the end of the 2 hours, you hand it out in paper form. Just write the answers down. For example, one of the questions would be, I give you an equation and I ask you, what is the value at x3? So you can't, I mean, you can, of course, use your calculator to count, or you can, use the Python code to check. All right, that's the idea. Any questions so far? Okay, right. So So the only team or only TE4 is being affected by this lab schedule. So I would write an announcement and ask the TE4 guys to organize with the TA when they can redo or when they can do their makeup lab. Now, if you pull out the zip file and you go to the lecture slides, then this is what you will see in that zip file. So most of the PDF files are, and then if there are PowerPoint files, if you are a Mac guy looking at a PowerPoint, I understand that there'll be fonts problem for the Mac guys. So just go and look at the PDF files. There's a doc file as well. So you have to look at all these and they are numbered O1, O1A, O1B. So they're in this order that previously we had wanted you to read, but now I'm going to ask you to read in different order. So O1, or the overview, you read it first, then the online video, the online resources, we're going to cover it today. Later on, I will ask you to read O2A and O2B. After that, you have thought that I will ask you to read O3A, O3A1, but no, we are going to ask you to read O4A first, followed by O3ABC, O3. So this is the order. So if you look at this guy, what I'm going to ask you to do is in week 1 and 2, we're going to do signals and systems. And this is the information of, this is the lecture notes for signals and system. The O2A and O2B. O2A is for signals, O2B is for systems. This is the lectures, and for tutorial, you're going to do tutorial 1. For my part, there are tutorial 1, tutorial 2, and tutorial 3. But let's come to it. In week 3 and week 4, you're still continuing with systems, and then we'll jump to O4, which is transform, Z transform. So you're going to read O2A, O2B, tutorial 1, followed by O4A, Z transform, followed by tutorial 3 for the Z transform. And the lab 2 is covering this part. In week 5, 6, 7, you're going to do Fourier transform. So my question now is, did you guys do Fourier transform in Math 2? Can you all write in the chat, please? Anybody, please? Are you still here? Okay. I see. Okay. So okay. So everybody every year have problems with Fourier. Okay. So I understand that this is a difficult topic, but it is a big topic. There'll be at least half to one question from the exams for this part. Okay. So if you drop this, then quite a lot of marks are gone. Right. So for the next 4 weeks at least, is this clear? Please read O2A, O2B to tutorial 1, followed by O4A, tutorial 3, and then the rest. So you can see the O2A, O2B here, followed by O4A, and then the rest. All right. Now, so the topics along with all this is the topic name are here. So this is signals and systems for these guys. Z transform is a very important transform, followed by Fourier transform. Fourier transform have many realizations. One is called Fourier series, Fourier transform, discrete Fourier transform, discrete time Fourier transform. So that's why it's very confusing. All right, how will we conduct this? I told you that we have recorded the videos, and then you are going to watch the videos. Click on this link here. So when you click on this link, you will go to YouTube and you will see this playlist. Okay, so I'm going to click here now, and I've just done that in the morning. So it is here. So this guy was where I click. Now, you will then see O2A and O2B in all the O2A 1.1, 1.2, and things like that. So you can watch this at your own time. You guys are still seeing my screen, right? Yes? Can you see YouTube, please?
Can see your YouTube.
Great, thank you. Now, so 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 you watch this, and this was prepared by Chu Yao Tong with my student, and he was a DSP student in one of the course, and I would suggest you take this because he put in a lot of effort. Now, so basically, he took my video during this 2018 and 19. I think he was a student in 20. Yeah, he was my student in 2017, and he became my FYP student, and then he got an A, and then we asked Yao Kang to basically take the videos, and then he did a lot of interesting things. I mean, he cut and he pasted and he append information between them. I think no, I think there are some parts where he actually, what do you call that? He added things onto the slides. So when you watch this and when he cut it into very small pieces, you'll realize that it becomes much more palatable rather than watching a 1 hour video. You're watching very small parts and only seeing the parts that you don't understand. So that's why he did it, and then across we give it to the students. But we only managed to give the students about 2 or 3 times. That's why the number of views is very, very small. Okay, but what did he do? Let me see if I can show you what he did. So this is what he did. Can you see? He basically animate, as I'm talking, he's animating. So it is very nice. Yeah, so I do advise you to see this. Yeah, Tzu Yang says that the videos does not follow the slides closely. Yeah, but it's close enough. So uh, in fact, I'm not going to, I mean, it, so I'm going to tell, so what I'm going to tell you is this. Look at this video because our friend Yao Kang basically animate this as I'm talking. So you see, can you see what he did? And because he did this, right, it became very, very easy for, I mean, I hope it becomes easier for the students to, yeah. The videos on YouTube follow topical like reading a textbook. Okay, great. So, right. So, yeah, I'm going to answer all these questions. That's nice. Now, so how are we going to conduct this? So basically in the lectures, as in these lecture hours, I'm going to just summarize important points and we can do the tutorials together. But in fact, I've done the tutorials so many times through all the recordings. I'm going to give everything to you so you can watch anything that you want. And during the tutorial lessons, you're going to do the Q&A for the tutorials, and the TA will answer about the lab. During the lab, it'll be a quiz, and you're only doing your quiz. Then we can't help you during the lab quiz, okay? But it's an open book. Internet access is allowed, but you cannot communicate with a human. Right. Now, who's going to help you? So basically, Tian Wen is the PhD student, and Zhu Bei will help T1 and 2 and T3 and 4. Okay, so these are the information regarding the lab quiz. Basically, they will hand you the quiz questions. They'll take the answers back in 2 hours. They'll have to mark, and then they'll be normalized, and then we'll, yeah. Now, if you did not go for the quiz, as you know by now, you have to get a valid MC, otherwise you get 0. All right. Now, if you have a valid MC, then we would normalize the marks from those that you have attended for the missing marks, missing assessment. Okay, so this is Tianwen, this is Zhu Bei. So during the physical tutorial hours, they should know how to do the lab quiz as well as the lab, so they can help you. They have been doing it. Sorry, I've already released the solution, so they should be able to help you. Now, may I ask, does anyone here do not know Python? In the lab, we're going to use Python to solve, unlike in the past where we had used MATLAB. In part 2, you use MATLAB, but in part 1, we'll use Python. So the question to you is, I'm now assuming everybody here know how to use Python. Anybody? Everyone use Python? Yes? Can you type on our chat, please? Right. Okay, so Python is not a problem. In fact, Python is now the most important AI programming language, and as well as for DSPs, it's very important. Okay, so these are the 3 labs. Lab 1 is discrete time signal, lab 2 is systems, lab 3 is Fourier. What else? The learning objectives, we're going to do discrete time and signal and systems, Fourier transform, Z transform. There are lots of open books. So many of you guys will be thinking to yourself, do you need to look at my manual? Do you need to look at my PDF, my slides, my tutorials? Actually, the answer is no. As long as you know how to do the lab quiz, and as well as you know how to do exams and our quizzes, you do not need to read any of my materials whatsoever. Doesn't matter. Okay. If you prefer to read all these, Oppenheim, this guy, Stanley, I like Stanley very much. Okay, so you look at Stanley EC101. So actually this is a first year course. So you pull out this guy and it's 105 pages. Does it cover all of us? Well, at least it covers my part. So you have 105 pages that cover most of my part. So he wrote it when he was in California in 2011. And you have signals here, systems here, Fourier series here, continuous Fourier transform here, discrete time Fourier transform here, sampling and Z. So that's all my part. So in the traditional world, Z transform is covered after the Fourier transform. But today we are going to switch. We're going to do Z transform first, and then after that we'll do Fourier series and Fourier transform. So his 105 pages of notes do cover my part. And if you think that his notes is sufficient, it is okay. It doesn't matter what you look at. Now, some students will say that my notes is very verbose, and it has too many words or too many things. Like I said, you do not need to look at them if you do not want to. Okay, so this is O1, the overview. So I spent about 25 minutes talking about the overview. So any questions now? Okay. Right, so with O1, so I've covered O1. So today, like I said, it is simply logistics. We have nothing really going on here. So followed by, now some students, for whatever reason, they prefer to watch past year video recordings of my lectures. If you so choose, then you open up this Word document, and then because of last year COVID, we had to do online, and then I went through all the past videos, and then I found that this video 2017-18 in SEM 2, I have already organized it in the following way. So what did I do? I will ask you, if you prefer to watch past online video recordings, that means what I did in the lecture proper, then this is 2017-18, and then you go to what do you call it? Our adventure site. So basically, you go to the course site, you go to the 17S2, and you will see the 17S2 recordings, and you have the date 2018 February and so on. So basically, you will see this, and then you will see 2018 from January until March where I taught. Now, Then you say that all these are the lectures, lecture 1, lecture 2, and so on. But in addition to that, in this document, I have given you what I did. So basically, on the 16th of January, about 4 years ago now, I covered the overview, the online resources, and the signals from page 1 to 19. So you have to watch that. From page 19 to page 33, I did it in the second lecture, and so on and so forth. So you realize that I have typed everything, all the information for you, so that you basically need to just jump to all the lectures whatsoever, okay, that you want to see. So you do not also need to watch the video from start to end. You just go to whichever video that you do not know and then just watch them. Okay? Any questions so far? So the 2018 is the basics of the YouTube video. Yes, correct. In fact, I never changed my slides. I just make very little corrections. The 17S2 videos cannot be viewed from our sites. Okay, let's try. So basically, you have to be in, what do you call that? You have to go to this guy, right? What is this? The course site. Then, do you have this button, the 17S2? And I guess you have to be in NTU or VPN or whatever. So let's go in. And then I'm going to click here. You can't play the video, right? Like I said, you have to be in the NTU network or whatsoever. So I'm going to try to click this button, okay? Now, if you cannot, if you're in NTU secure network, and you cannot play this, you must VPN in, I guess. So let's try. So I'm going to click this button, all right? Yes, it's the same. I couldn't play this at home, but I can play this here, I think. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you see, it's so sad, right? Everybody's not even here. Okay. So, see? Oh, come on. Is it? Right. So I'm not sure why they use kaltura.com and things like that. So they must be hosting it somewhere. And when I tried to play this link at my home, I couldn't play it. So can I ask here, there's 35 of you guys here, can you all play this? If you are in NTU, you are in the NTU network, you are in the halls, in the NTU secure, can you play any of the videos? Can someone say yes or no? Can. Okay, so we have one guy who's, oh, are you in NTU? In hall can. Yes, correct. When I was at home, I couldn't play this. So of course, then I realized that there must have been some whatever problems. But 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 having said all this, let me tell you, right? It is really, really boring to watch me talking for 1 hour. I would really suggest you to watch the YouTube version, because I mean, that's what I make Yao Kang do, right? I make Yao Kang chop it into very small pieces so that actually you know, you could only see, you can see all these things. All right. So Alim says that you need PAL secure. So yes, you need to VPN into NTU before you can see that. Right. So now I have offered you two ways to watch the online video. You can watch you can watch the YouTube version, or you can watch the online version. Okay. So I've just done all this O1 and O1A. Any questions so far? All right. O1B. Okay, let's do O1B. So just now, some of you guys is asking me that whether the video follows like reading a textbook. No, I'm not reading a textbook. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading a script and things like that. Basically, yeah. It's like I don't have a script now, so I'm just going to blabber along. So in these online resources, so across the years, many students ask me, what are the other resources available for you? Now, if you just want to pass and score in the exams, all you really need to do is to do the last 4 or 5 years of the CE3007 exams many times, and then you'll be just like, there are only certain permutations that we can cook up, and if you see enough of them, you'll be okay. That is if you just want to pass the exams. For the labs, you have to do the lab manual at home, and you have to do it many times, and then you can code. And then when we change the question, it'll be simply things like, I give you a new equation, and then what is the value, what is the plot, and things like that. Okay. Now, but if you want to study DSP, there are plenty of resources. So DSP is a very, very old course. When I was an undergraduate students like you guys, I also studied them. So I studied this book by this guy. His name is Oppenheim. So back then, Oppenheim is the D textbook to use, but today you have plenty and plenty. So whatever you want, all these big names will be able to tell you about DSP. DSP, as in digital signal processing, is a fundamental course, almost like math. Okay, although it is in a triple E, but I think the CE guys need to know. And if you are in machine learning, if you deal with signals, that means, for example, speech signals, for example, vibrations, for example, you're controlling the temperature, you're measuring something, you will need to know DSP because all signals are digital. Actually, I like this guy very much. His name is Vitaly. So I'll show you what Vitaly do later on. But you can see any of these. Okay, you do not need mine. I will repeat. You do not need mine. You just need to do the exams and the labs, and you'll be fine. Now, so again, I repeat Stanley. I really like Stanley's notes. It's very nice. And then Fessler's note. You have whole books that are free and things like that. Okay, some more. So now DSP is all about math. Actually, everything in the digital signal processing is just math. So if your math is not good, you have to pick it up very fast. The first thing you realize, the math, to understand Fourier series and to understand complex exponential, you have to understand complex numbers first. So this slide is for those guys who have forgotten about complex numbers, e.g. omega, complex exponential, Euler formula. You have to learn this. You can learn it from Kant, from Technion. So this is a first year undergraduate math course. You just do 5, 6, 7, 8, and you'll be up to speed for at least complex numbers. You can look at notes if you don't like to watch videos, and Wesleyan is a very, very good university. And I mean, I think if you only watch 5 lectures, you'll be fine. So let's click this to see whether it's still alive. Oh, did I share the audio sound? I didn't. Okay, so I'm going to share the audio sound. Share with audio sound. All right.
Welcome to the course Analysis.
Yeah, so this is Petra Bonfort, and she's Wesleyan, and you just need to see about 9 lectures or 5 lectures of this. Okay, so she's going to teach you complex numbers at University 1, 2 level. Okay, where am I now? So please, you really need to go to the complex numbers, and you can pick whichever, and if you're familiar with this, then you can skip this. Once you have understood complex numbers, the next thing we need you to understand is EJ theta. So theta changes, and then we have these different complex numbers depending on x. So EJ theta, EIXI is the imaginary number, x is the variable, so we plug the variables here. Now, so again, you can look at any of these, and I really like Vitaly, and Vitaly will show you this picture, as well as other guys will show you these pictures. So it's very nice. And in the lab, we're going to ask you to draw these pictures, okay, using Python. Right, so watch this guy. I think it's still alive. So Vitaly, as in the video is still alive.
In module 2.2,
so this is EPFL. So again, the great Swiss university, is it? Yeah.
Z
Yeah.
by
So
an angle
so
alpha.
they are very nice now. I mean, you guys have all the resources online at a world-class level, right? So these lectures are very, very good. Okay. Now, so I repeat, you definitely need to understand complex numbers. I would suggest you read any of these first and watch the videos, then watch these guys. And once you're familiar with complex numbers, you'll be able to do the lab one easily, as well as the Fouriers. Later on, you'll realize that I give you additional things, but these are very specialized. Impulse response of LTI. Again, in lab one and lab two, you'll need to know this. Okay, I think maybe there are more, but this is just things I pick up randomly that I found interesting. Anything else? No. The last one. Now, if you have forgotten how to do integration, which you will need to do in Fourier series, go to Symbol Lab. And I'm going to pull out Symbol Lab. That's my Symbol Lab. All right, let's pick him up. In Symbol Lab, basically, you can write your equations, integrate, let's say, x dx. Does it do? Integrate of x dx. Come on. What happened? Yeah, there. So it's not x squared over 2. So of course, we are more interested in very complicated function like exponential of j, I'm not sure it's j or I times omega times t with respect to t, with respect to t. If you've forgotten how to do this, then yeah, he'll show you. Okay. Right. So for sure you would encounter integration and integration by parts for my part of the Fourier series. So if you've forgotten Fourier series, you at least need to know how to do integration by parts. All right. I think that's it. I'm going to now pause.